and welcome to today's session. We have again another great presenter for us, and we are also taking another aspect of Power BI that I know people struggle with, but eventually, if you want to be rounded in your Power BI proficiency, it's something you have to get comfortable doing. So we will be covering some of the core aspects of the data modeling and formulas and all. So we have with us today Sodiq Yusuff. Apologies if you hear another voice in the background. So this session is being brought to you by your BizEdge. We've been powering this since 2020. I think we started during the COVID period. We even started on a weekend. We used to run it on Wednesdays. People had a lot of time and they wanted to practice what they were learning. They didn't just want to go for training and not practice. So that was why we created this as a way for people to keeping their knowledge afresh, having instead of just doing online training, having like a physical class, So we call it office hour, the same way universities do these office hours where lecturers and teaching assistants have a dedicated session to answer people's questions, to tackle things that are a bit difficult, to basically help people to continuously learn and improve. So that was the mindset behind it, and it's been tough. We've switched from Wednesday to Sunday, because Wednesday was no longer working after COVID. And I basically don't have a life on Sundays anymore, but it's been worth it. If you've also been part of the sessions, you will know that we've always had a mix of presenters. Some people will come talking about something completely new. Some people will come use what we do in a different way, and some people will do what you even know, but then you are like completely forgotten about the use in that scenario. So I want you to also, see this background to these sessions, okay? And then your business, you are a training company. So if you need training on Microsoft Excel, Power BI, financial modeling, SQL, you are in safe hands with us. And we also have online courses. So I'm going to share the link if you want to maybe just cherry pick something you want to learn. You want to do it at your pace. You want to be flexible with it. And, you just want that ability to just narrow down on what you want without having to block out days and go to somewhere. So that can be the advantage of online course. And MHS Analytics are Canadian here. So we expanded to Canada this year. We are still trying to get the kind of publicity and name as we have already in Nigeria, but we've started. The start is always the major step, and we already have a few customers anyway. But if you know anybody in North America, especially Canada, we might be for now, we might be their best value for money, So now to the main aspect of today's session. We have again with us someone who is rich in experience. He consults at the Brown. Everybody in Nigeria knows the Brown, so there's not so much to use to explain to you, how well he's going to be good at what he does. Then he's also a Microsoft certified data analyst. He's a Microsoft certified trainer. He's a Power Platform developer. He trains on Microsoft Office, Excel, Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate. So like you see in this above one, Power Platform, the entire Power Platform suite, I'm going to share his LinkedIn so you can connect with him on LinkedIn. I hope he doesn't have any issue with you connecting with him on LinkedIn. So I'm going to share it, and hopefully he will accept your connection request. I'm going to hand over to him so that he takes us away, and we don't hit into his presentation time. So Sodiq, please, over to you. You can come up.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, it's very funny when you said it. All right, good afternoon and good evening and good morning, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from across the globe. My name is Sodiq Yusuff. I'm a business intelligence analyst, like my guy said earlier on, and we'll be the one facilitating this session. And in this session, I would prefer that we just jump into the business of the day, and so that we can have ample time to do some demos. All right, so in this session, we're going to be talking about data analysis expression. Please confirm in the chat if you can hear me.
Yeah,
Please
even
type in
me,
the chat if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I will type my own
Yes.
audio. And I think people are already saying so. So yes, we are good.
All right. So thank you very much, everybody. Say yes. My guy was saying if you can connect with me. I'm nobody. You can connect with me, and I'm more than glad to have you on LinkedIn. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. So today we're going to be talking about data analysis expression. And when we say data analysis expression, I mean most cases we have data, and we know at the middle of everything analytics, you need data, and we use data to earn insights from. We can earn insights from our data, and we can also we can use our data to answer a lot of business questions. But then what gave birth to data analysis expression? So data analysis expression, like we all call it DAX. So in most cases, when you have a situation at hand and some business requirements cannot be solved by merely plotting and plotting. For example, let me go to my visualization, and somebody say, okay, I have a data in my data. I will have 4 or 5 data table here. Okay, I have the calendar table that has all my everything about my calendar. I have the customer table, and that's every information about the customer, the location, the product, and also the superstore, which is like the fact table. So, and I've connected all my dimensions tables to the fact table. So we've connected everything. Now, in this case, when I've connected everything, and I was asked, if I'm asked by business to know, okay, we would like to know how much have we generated so far. So what is our revenue? Okay, so to get that, I can just go to my visualization. Let me use the card vision. Let me just use the old one. Then from my card visual, so for us to know how much we've generated so far, go to my facts table, and on my sales, easily I can see that what we have generated was 2.3 million. We have generated 2.3 million naira. In fact, they might even ask, okay, with this 2.3 million naira, how are we able to come about this? So there might be a question on which of our region, which of our location, our stores, or our offices generating the highest revenue, or which of our products. So in any of those cases, I can just come here and say, okay, I would like to go to, okay, let me bring in a new visual. I'm going to use this, my bar chart. Then to my products table, because okay, from my products, let me use the product subcategory. I'm creating my report, right? And can then go to my supers and pick the sales. Easily, I can see that what phones is generating the highest revenue. Sales phones is generating the highest revenue. Why fastener is the one generating the least of our revenue. So we can see our revenue distribution. So easily by just what using all the fields that you have here, you can get all this information. But what if in a case you were asked that want to see our revenue by month? Easily I can also do that. Would like to see our monthly revenue. How much are we generating monthly? Go to my calendar, and let me just pick the months, right? And also our monthly revenue. Easily, I can also see how we are making money monthly. But in a situation whereby I was asked to give me, I would like to know what is the difference between our revenue for last month compared to we want to do a comparison between our revenue for this month and last month. So currently we are in the month of November, and we would like to say, okay, the revenue we generated in October, let's say it is this amount, which is 400 million, and in November, we've generated this amount. So compared to last month, how are we doing? So you find out that it will be a bit difficult for us to easily bring it out here. For you to do this, you can either pick your calculator and start doing it manually. right? But how can you visualize so that we are seeing our revenue? We are doing a comparison between our revenue of this month compared to last month. Also, a situation whereby you would like to know how are we doing in terms of our actual as against the budget. So our actual revenue as against the budgeted revenue. These and many more reasons are why we need to be able to write some data analysis expression. And if you are coming from an Excel background like me, I think transitioning into DAX will be a walk in the park. To be very easy, you just need to transform your knowledge of Excel into it. It's very straightforward and you can easily relate with it. Even if you are not an Excel person, merely looking at all the different functions that we have there, you can easily relate with it, and what you pick out what is all you need to do, just follow through with the argument, and you will be able to answer all the business questions. So this is why what we need to use data analysis expression. And one very good thing about this is for DAX, most of the functions, if not all of the functions that we have in Excel, you have them in DAX. But then we still have more functions in DAX that we have in DAX that are not in Excel. So that's why it is one of the most preferred tools for us to do a lot of calculations. Now, when we now talk about data analysis expression, so it is actually the language of Power Pivot in Excel for those of us who know how to use Excel. So you have it in Excel as Power Pivot and in Power BI as well. So you can use it to manipulate your data and to get a lot of insights, more than what you can just get by just using all the fields that we have. You can do more, and in fact, it is very, very flexible. With data analysis expression, which is DAX, you can do a lot of things. Part of what you can do with DAX is you can create a calculated column. For example, on my table here, if I go to my table view and I'm looking at my facts table, where's my facts table, which is the superstore. So with DAX, I can create a calculated column. I can say, okay, looking at this now, I want to create a new column into this table. So currently we have star code, the ID, and so we have the sales, the quantity, discount, profit, and so on like that. Now, what if I say though, I would like to know what in terms of this, we have discount. So this is actually how much you are meant to pay. But then in some cases, we give discounts to our customers. So what if I want to know actual money that you pay after you have we have deducted our discount from the total money you are meant to pay. So to know that, we can create a calculated column for that. We can create a calculated column that will help us, that will tell us the actual amount that you have paid. So we can do that with DAX. Another thing that we can do with DAX, I'm going to do that. Another thing we can do with DAX is you can create a calculated table. Aside all the tables that we have here, we can leverage on DAX to create a new table entirely. For example, in this table, which is a facts table, how many rows do I have? I have about over 9,994 rows. That's approximately 10,000 rows. From this now, if I would like to know, okay, how many transactions take place in which location? I can pick a location, or I want to know how many customers in each of our segments did a transaction. So I can create a sub table from the bigger table that we have here. So by leveraging on DAX. Also with DAX, you can write measures. You can create a measure, and the measure will return what we call a scalar value. Scalar value in the sense that it returns only a single value, and this measure can easily be filtered by any category that you bring in. Also with DAX, you can also leverage on DAX to create what we call the row level security. You can create row level security. For example, this particular table now contains all our operations, right? So it is the operations table. Now from this table, I would like to when I'm done with the organization report as a whole, I'm building report for the consumption of the whole of the organization. But then I would like a situation whereby what I only want when it gets to each of the sales, the managers, they should only be able to see the part of the report that talks about their own region. So when you get to the manager for the Eastern region, he or she should be able to see the report that talks about the East region, not the entirety of the report. So these and many more are what we can do with DAX. Now, let me start from the calculated table. Like the example I set earlier on, for example, I can look at this and say, okay, I would like to create a new table. You can create a new table leveraging on DAX. I'm going to create two different tables right now. Okay, now let me even create. First thing is to create a table or to write any measures in to write a DAX measure. You can majorly advise go to the modeling tab. If you go to the modeling tab on your Power BI desktop, under my modeling tab, then you see that I have some options, which is I can create a new measure. If I want to create a measure, a quick measure, let's leave that for now. I can also create a new column, and also with it, I can create a new table. So depending on whatever you want to create, I can pick any of these three options. Right now, let's say I want to create a new column, for example. For instance, let me start with the calendar table. I want to create a calendar for my table, my data. So under here, I can click on new table. This is telling me that I would like to create a new table in my data, right? And let me call it okay, calendar. I'm just going to abbreviate it and say equals to I'm going to use a function in DAX that is called the calendar. I just want to create an automatic calendar that will look into my data and create the calendar based on the data that I have in my data. So I'm going to calendar auto. Then here, I'm just going to close the bracket. So calendar auto will just look into your data and create a calendar table for you. Also, if your financial year, so generally it's going to create from January to December, but if your financial year is not from January to December, you also have the opportunity to specify your own start of the year. For example, if my start of the month, if my own start of the month is April, all I need to do is to just put April is the 4th month of the year. All I need to do is to click on write for year, because that will tell me my fiscal year fiscal year end month. So when does my own year end? It's ending. Let's say it's ending April, which is 4. Then use close the bracket and you are done. But if you are using the normal January to December, which what we are going to be using here, you don't need to specify anything, and it's going to assume that you are working based on January to December. Close it. Then remember, I call this table a cal table, which is called calendar. Now, if I look at my data pane, then you will find out that I now have a new table that's called the cal. Using DAX, I've created this. Right? If I can go into the table, then here is the calendar, which has a date. Right? I can even say, okay, I'm using the data type to ordinary date instead of date and time. Right, from here now I can now decide to start creating more columns. Remember, we say we can leverage on DAX to create columns, to create a calculated column. For example, I'm just going to do one, then move on. On this table, I want to extract my year separately, my month separately, my day, or even day of the week, and so on like that. All I'm going to do is a new column. Using DAX, I can create more columns on this table. For example, I'll click on new column, right? So on this, I want to call it my month table. Let me say months, MTH. Then I'm going to use one particular function. You can actually use the month function, but the month is going to return. It's going to return just month number, the number of the 1 for January, 4 for April, 12 for December. But I would like to see the name of the month. So I'm going to use the function called the format function. and it's asking me what do I want to format, which is the first argument value. What do I want to format? I would like to format this by date column. So I'll say dates. And in DAX, when you are writing a measure, when you're writing anything, you must what it references the table. So we know what the date I'm picking. It's possible to have different date columns in 3 or 4 of my tables. So I need to specify which of the date column I am referring to. So here I want to refer to only the date on the what the cow table. So I'm formatting my date column, right? What format do I want to put? I want to format it in months. So just like our Excel, now that you can open a quote and say my month is what M. So if I use 3M and close the bracket, right? Close the quote, then close the bracket. It is going to return my month for me in abbreviated formats. Can you see now? Jan for January, February, March. So if I click on the drop down, I can see all the month of the year. But if I want it in full, then I need to increase the M to 4. Making it 4 M's, then you see your full month, right? This is how you create a calculated column. So you can do this to create other columns as well. Year will be YY, this same calculation, just change the format to YYY for year, quarter to Q, and so on like that. Now I've created a calculated column. Now on my facts table, there's something I want to do. On my facts table, we go to which is the facts table, which is store. Now here I also made mention of what I would like to create what a new column on this table. And this column, I want to call it what? Probably the total sales or the actual sales. In the sense that this person comes to this part for the particular transaction now, this person is buying what? This particular product, which is product ID, and this is buying 3 quantities of this product, and this is the amount that is meant to be, right? But then if we issue a discount, how much is this person meant to pay? So we need to what? To be able to what? Deduct our discount from the amount. So how do we calculate this? This can just be calculated by what? By using your sales, then minusing or what? What do we have? You can see we have all this. So minusing what we have from here. In fact, I can even decide to what? To change this to the percentage. But then let me just move on. And you can say new column. I would have said we should multiply, but if you are multiplying this particular amount by 0, it means no discount. Then you are saying what? You are not going to pay anything, which is not going to be. So by default, I'll say my actual sales. Then you can say what? Saying from what we have here, I can say, okay, what I have my sales from the order from your superstore table. Can you see this? Then I'm saying minus, this is for example, minus what? The discounts. Minus what? The discounts. Right? Or in fact, I can even look at it and say, okay, how much is your discount? Because right now what we have is just what? The percentage discounts. For some people, we are giving them, let me look into this. Okay, on the discount column now, we are giving some of them, we are giving 0%, some are 10%, 15%, 20%, and so on like that. Let's even know how much exactly is the discount itself, discount amount. So I'll call this my discount amount if I even do this. So because this is the percentage that we are actually giving them. So I'm going to say discounts amounts AMT. Then I will say what? I want to multiply my sales by the discount. So when it returns 0, it means what? We are not giving any discount. Then if for those who are giving discount, it's going to return how much discount we are giving, and then we can now what? Minus it from the total actual sales. So I'm going to say the sales, right? Then multiply by the discount from the superstore table. Let me see what I have here. Just loading it. By default, is telling me that for those who are not having discount, there is return 0. Then they don't have any discount. Then for those who are giving, we are giving what? Some percentage of discount. Then you see how much we are actually what? Giving them. You see how much we are giving them as a discount. Right? Then we can now what? Minus this, we can subtract it from the actual sales. So if I want to get the actual sales, now can I say new column with DAX now, with what? Writing my DAX, I'm writing what? I'm actually what? Creating new column from my table. So I can call this now the actual sales. Then you say what? You can say, what are we saying? My sales just minus what? The discounted amount. The discounted amount. Then you are already what? You're already creating some calculated column. So for this, we are seeing what? So for this person now, because there's no discount, you're paying the full price. For those who have discounts, let me filter the way we have discounts. Let me remove all the zeros. And okay. And for those who have discounts, then we can see how much they are eventually going to pay. So this person now we are giving what? This 20% discount. Then how much is it? 23 naira and so on. And then this is going to eventually pay 95 naira and so on and so on and so on like that. So we can see what we can use our measure, our DAX now to write what some and cancel this calculated column. Now when you are writing what DAX, right? So in writing measures, we can also use DAX to write what? Measures. To write measures. Measures are what? Are calculations that returns scalar value. In some cases, they return scalar. In some, they can decide not to. Depending on how. So there's some scalar value, for example. Now, for example, now let's look at this. I want to write what? My measure. Currently, when I was looking for the total amount, the total revenue that we've generated so far, I say we've generated 22.3 million so far, right? But then when you're writing your measures, we have two different kinds of measures. The first measure is what is known as the implicit measure. When we say implicit measure, it is a measure that is written by what? By Power BI engine itself. For example, in my table, I have all the transactions are happened bit by bit, right? But then when I say I want to know the total revenue we've generated so far, I just pick the word sales and it gives me this value. But then I can also write what? This value is what we call the implicit measure. But then I can also decide that what the issue with this measure is that what it is calculated by Power BI engine. With this I can I have no control over it because this is not my doing. This is done by Power BI. Power BI needs to aggregate it, right? But then I can also another challenge with it is I cannot build on it to write some advanced calculation. Advanced calculation, like for example, I'd like to I can see we are seeing monthly revenue. What if I want to see my month to date or my year to date and so on, and a quarter to date and so on? So it will be very difficult to leverage on this, and that is what gives it to the next measure, which is called the explicit measure. Explicit measure, the one you are the one writing it, and what you can also leverage it to be some advanced calculation. Now, examples of explicit measure from we use our aggregate functions to write it. Aggregate functions like we know in our Excel, which are the sum, the count, the max, minimum, average, and so on.
Sodiq,
Hello.
it seems. Oh, I wanted to say it seems your screen froze, but sorry, I think it's visible now. Okay,
All right.
you can go on.
Thank
Yes.
you. Okay. Now, so let me quickly write this. I would like to write a measure that does the same thing as this. All right. So, okay. Then for my measure, okay, I'll go back to my modeling. Let me just come pick it and say what new measure. Now I want to write a measure for sales, right? But then in this case, I will not call it sales. I just want to call it another name. So I'll just call it revenue. Revenue. What am I basically doing? I'm basically adding all these figures on my revenue column. Same thing I'm going to do here, just sum all the sales. Sum the sales column. The sales column from my revenue table. From my fact table, then that's what it's going to do. Okay, it's loading it and done. All right, so here is the revenue measure. So if I decide to bring it into this table, my monthly table, then you find out that we have the same amount. Same thing, if I come here and let me remove the sales and bring revenue there. Revenue, then you have the same amount. But then the difference there, this is an explicit measure, while this is an implicit measure. So when you are writing an advanced calculation, you can always leverage on your revenue. And with what I've written so far, okay, all right. All right, so I will slow down a bit. Sorry, I'm trying to cover a lot in just a short period of time. Apologies. Okay, so what I'm doing here basically is the explicit measure. I'm what I'm writing an equivalent with explicit measure. So I can write an equivalent measure that will do the same thing, that will return the same amount for me. And that was why I say what I want to write the revenue measure. I went to my what my Moodle tab, then click on what new measure. New measure. Also, you can actually what go to any of the tables, right click on it, then you see new measure as well. So you can do that. Now, like I said, the difference between these two calculations are this. The revenue is an explicit measure which was written by me, while the sales is an implicit measure which was written by Power BI Engine itself. One question that you might be asking me is, if Power BI Engine can do this for me, why do I need to do the same thing? Now I'm going to show you the reason why we need to do that. And that's by writing some advanced calculation now. Now, for example, you can see when I even brought the revenue into this particular our sales table. Now we can see that this is our sales, and we get the same value all through. But where the distinction comes in is when I want to write an advanced calculation. For example, I want to write I want to see revenue for previous months. I want to see I want to see my year-to-date revenue. Let me just do that. Now, okay, new measure. I'm writing a new measure now. New measure. So this you can write in any different method that you want, but then I'm going to leverage on one of the most important functions in DAX, which is the calculator. I'll say revenue. Let me say okay, year to date. I'll call it YTD, for example. Revenue year to date, which is if you come into this table and help me to add all the figures. When it gets to January, when you get to February, it add the figure of January to February and will give me one value. When you get to March, that's all the 3 months together, April, and so on like that. So I'm going to use the function that's called the calculate function. So calculate functions allows you to flex on your it allows you to flex on your whatever measures that you want to write. It's very flexible. You can leverage on it, and you can use to do a lot of advanced calculation. For example, I want to calculate I want to calculate sales, but then I only want to do my year to date. So if I say calculate and I say sales, remember our column in the table is called sales. Then you see that it is then sales is not showing up, and that is because it is an implicit measure. Sales is an implicit measure, and that is why sales is not showing up. And this is the major reason why we have to write our revenue. Remember, both are doing the same thing. But then I said earlier on that your sales was done by Power BI Engine. Challenge is it is not done by you, so you have no control over it. So you cannot leverage on it to do some advanced calculation, which is what we are really saying. So instead of me doing sales, I'm rather going to say revenue, because they are doing the same thing. Now I'm calculating revenue, but then I would like to calculate revenue for year to date. Year to date. Now I'm going to say year to date. So which is now I do my date. It's called the function is called date YTD. Just type it date. Okay, the easiest way to bring it out, just say YTD. Then it gives me date YTD. Date YTD. Now my date YTD is asking me for for 2 arguments, but one is compulsory, the other one is optional. So any argument in a square bracket is always optional. So now it's asking me for a date. So where is my date coming from? My date is coming from my calendar table. So I'm going to say dates from the calendar table I already have, not the initial one. Right, then close the brackets and close the bracket for for the calculate now twice. Closing the bracket twice, so you all okay, sorry. All right, then enter. So I've written this, and then let me bring in my measure into this table so you see what is. In fact, let me even bring in the years first. Years, so that they are separated. My calendar year. Yes, I want to put year. Yeah. Okay. I have all the years, so let me start my year. Now I have year, then my revenue year to date. Now, can you see in the month of January we made 14,000, right? While in February we made 4,500. But in my revenue year to date was when you get to February, in January it gives me 14,000, right? But when you get to February, it adds these two values together and gives me what? The 18,000. Right? In March, add what 55,000 to this again, I get 75,000. Then I'm now getting to what? My year to date. My year to date. So it is adding it for me. So at the end of Jan 2014, you can see we have made what? How much have we made? We have made 84 million. We have made 484 million. But then when you get to the next year, which is January again, it starts all over again. In January 2015, I made what? 18,000. Right? She's giving me 18,000. But when you get to February, it adds 18 plus 11, that's 29, approximately 30. Then it gives me 30 and so on like that. Like that, like that, like that, like that. So this is how what I can do my revenue year to date. Right? You can see you can also do revenue month to date. So using the same way, that's what. So let me just do so if you are doing a granular analysis, like you want to see your day to day this thing, the same formula is what you're going to use, but then okay, let me just let me pull it up. So for here, instead of doing what year to date, then we have what month to the date MTD. Date MTD. In fact, I can even decide, okay, let me because okay, let me quickly write this. I'm not doing granular, but then let me show it for those who will want to see it. Same way we did the first one is how you're going to do the next one. Okay, I'm saying what? Revenue MTD, right? I'm going to calculate my revenue from months to date. So I'm going to say calculate, I'll leverage on this, calculate, right? What am I calculating? I'm still calculating my revenue, right? Comma. Then I need to filter it. So that's why I say with calculate, you can always what you can make it makes your work very, very flexible. So now filter now is what I'm saying. I would like to see revenue for what? For months to date. So you say MTD, then you see date MTD. Date MTD. So that's date month to date. Then you can always use your date column from the calendar table. Close the bracket twice, then you get your what? Revenue months to date. Months to date. So if I bring the same measure in here now, then you will see where's my measure MTD, revenue MTD. So if I make this a more granular this thing, then you will see what I is going to be adding all the figures for me. Figures for me. All right. Okay, now we have done this. Another thing is, let's now say, aside what I've done, okay, let me go and create another table in another sheet. So when you are writing your measures, my calendar, year, month. So when you are writing your measures, right? Let me bring my revenue in. Where is my revenue? So when writing measures, you can do what? We have different levels of measures. So using your sum, your count, and so on, then what we say we are doing what we call the anchor measure, because they serve as the base, as an anchorage for every other calculation. Because across the globe and across all organizations, the kind of measures that we write are always divided into three. The first one, we have the anchor measures. So anchor measures serve as anchorage, just like name implies, as anchorage for all other measures. It serves as anchorage for all other measures, and you can always leverage on them to write some advanced calculation. Just like the sum that we wrote earlier on, it's an anchor measure. I can also count how many transactions happen in each month. So using the count function. I can find the average using the average function. So average, count, minimum, maximum, and so on. They are all referred to as what? Anchor measure. And the second one is the filter measure, which is what we have been writing so far, which is now so you filter your report. You can write a measure that filters your report, and you can filter it in different ways. Part of it is you can decide I want to write what? A time intelligence measure, which is what most organizations use. Time intelligence, when you're doing a kind of time intelligence calculations. Also, like what we've written earlier on is referred as the time intelligence, with the month to date, the year to date, the quarter to date, and so on like that, right? So you can do that. Also, the third one that we write across all organizations is what we now want to know when we are talking about comparison. When you're doing the variance, you want to see comparison between your current revenue and what the previous revenue. This year versus last year, or we are doing what? Your current sales as against your target, your actual sales as against your target. So we say you are doing what we call the variance calculations. Right? So you can do this by leveraging on different measures. For example, I started an example when you want to do a percentage calculation of what you want to see the difference, how are we doing in February compared to January, in March compared to February, and so on like that. In fact, I can even see in the chat, somebody is asking for weekly sales. So you can tweak it by leveraging on your DAX. For example, I'm going to write a new measure again. My measure is just moving around. So new measure. Then, so I'll break it down one after the other so we see it. Now, I want to write a measure that will shows my previous year. So I want to do a comparison between this month and last month, so that we can now do a comparison. But first of all, I want to even return. Yes, I'm coming. So I want to return what we call the previous month, so that we can now so that when we're in February, I'll see January value beside it. When in March, it will go a step backward and go and give me the value that we have in the previous month, right? So we can do that, then we can now do our variance. So let me say I want to calculate what revenue for last month, right? Let me call it LM for last month. Again, just like I said, what do I want to do? I want to calculate a revenue for last month, right? So I'm saying calculate from my expression. Calculate. What am I calculating? Revenue. I'm calculating revenue. Remember, we cannot use sales again because sales is an implicit measure. For last month, I think I will write this in two ways. But for example, yes. So for last month, then I'm going to say what? Previous month. We use the previous function. And you can see with previous function, you can use previous day, previous month, quarter, and year. So this goes back a bit, right? Previous, not previous day. I want to use the previous month. Yes. Now my previous month needs what? A date column. Remember, our date is coming from the calendar table. Close the bracket twice, then I have my previous month calculation. Okay, let me go and bring this into my table for previous months. Interesting. Now you can see in February, now we are seeing the value for January. In March, we are seeing value for February, and so on like that. So easily we can just say what? This particular column by this column, right? Then you do your calculation. So to see the difference between them. So to see the difference, we say, we're saying this month compared to our last month. So I'm going to write a new measure again. New measure. Okay, let's say, okay, revenue difference now. That's now, okay. Revenue difference, let me call it this. Then I'm saying what? My this month revenue, which is now revenue, minus my last month revenue, which is called what? My revenue LM. Revenue LM, I have it. Revenue for last month, then enter. So you are seeing, okay, let me go and bring it in. Now you are seeing the difference, right? You are seeing the difference. Let me put this into, yep. Let me put it into decimal places. and change the decimal places just into 2. And yes, so you're seeing the difference. So you're saying this month compared to last month, this minus, I'm seeing the difference for it. Then from here now I can decide now to this, say what I want to do my variance, right? So by what I can say this now divided, can even leverage and divided by what? By my revenue. Or you can even write a separate calculations for it, right? Divided by this. All right, come in. Okay, so let me see, is my calculation correct? So let me even put this in brackets and execute this before you do the second one. Right, interesting. Now I can see what, just basic mathematics. Now I can see the difference, what the difference already, right? Then we have this like oh, 2 points, yes, compared to no, it cannot be. So something is wrong. Somebody should help me. I think it should be okay. Let me just use the normal one. Yes, I can see or is it divided by the revenue last month? Let me see. Let me see. Yep. Let's see what we have. Yes, I think yes, exactly. Okay, so now it's telling me that what this is not. Let me remove this from currency. So everything should not be currency, should be put it in percent. I can even put it in percentage aspects. Yes. So we are seeing how we are doing. Exactly. So compared to the previous month, then what? This is telling me how I'm doing compared to the previous month. Percentage compared to now. In February, we did 4,000, but in March, we are doing what? 55,000. So it's like what? Far. This 1,000 plus ahead of it, right? Now you can see one of my calculations is doing what? Infinity. I can also what? Leverage on there and say what? I can see tweak again and say the infinity is because we are doing a division by 0. That's why this one is giving me infinity. So I can also tweak my calculation and say what? If what? If I say if both of them are available, then do the calculation. Or if not, so let me just quickly write this. If is blank, I need to use this function now. If it's blank, that is if either my revenue or okay, if wait a minute. Yes, if and okay, yeah, I'm doing this. If is blank. Interesting. Okay, let me cut this so that it's not X. Right? I'm saying if it is blank, but in this case, I want both of them should be available before you do my calculation, right? So I can say what and both of them. See if my revenue and what revenue for last month. That is, I'm trying to cater for this my infinity. So you should only do this calculation if I have both values. If not, do not run anything. That's actually what I want to do. So I'm now saying what if revenue is blank and like what's it called? Revenue for last month is blank as well. Right. So if both of them have to be present, that's why I'm using and. Right. So if both of them are present, right, do what? Close the brackets for this. So if both of them are blank, what do you want to do? Do not do anything. I can also say yes, do not do anything. Close this, then comma. If not, perform this operation. Ctrl V, then enter. Okay, I think I'm doing it the other way around. X. Yeah, okay. Let me just see. Is it blank? Yes. Come on, give me this. Close this. Let me see. Zero in my this thing. Okay, and this, right? This is close. Yes. blank or not. Let me see what is wrong with this. Let me. Trying to debug this. Yep. Both of these are available. Yes. If it's blank. Yep. Then do the calculation. The calculation is what? The calculation is this particular thing here. Right?
So some suggestion was, so if you look inside these blank, yeah, so
Yes.
I guess it should be these blank should be in, the hand should be outside.
Okay. Yes, I think. Thank you for that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
send restart.
Let me see. Okay. Yep. Uh-huh. Okay. Let me see this. Okay, do this else. Don't do this. No, no, no. This should come first. Let me see. No, this is okay. She's blank. No, no. And should actually come first. I'm coming. Let me just take this out. Let me take this out first. I can come back to it later. But then you understand what I'm trying to do? Just to cater for the blank, okay? The comma, I have a bracket here.
I want to ask if we try divide, will that maybe be easier, like the divide function?
Yes, I have also I can actually use that too. I mean this will solve. Let this come first. Yep. So instead of doing this, I can decide to use the divide function. So I say to divide. I'm dividing my what? My revenue. Current revenue. Numerator is revenue, then comma. The denominator is what? Revenue for last month, right? Also, alternate result. I'm saying if this is going to what? Give me error like this, then return what? 0. What's my alternate results? I can say 0. Then do it. So that solves it faster than we yes. Instead of trying to write instead of trying to write a lot of calculations like that. So thank you very much for that. Yep. So you can see this now. So this works for what we have. Interesting. Now, somebody asked a question that will even lead to the next thing I want to do, which is now what? Which is now we have another report that says, give me revenue. Let me bring in the table again, another table. And in this table, I just want to see revenue by segment. I want to see revenue by segment. So in the customer table, I can pick segment, not customer name, segments. And I also want to pick revenue. Revenue. Now we can see how much we are making in the what? In each segment. In each segment, consumer, corporate, and home office. Now let's now assume that we want to do a comparison. But then to do our comparison, right? Then we can say, okay, we want to use one of this particular one now, one of these three segments as the basis. So we now compare it to all of them. For example, our targets. We can decide to name our target, to give our target. So I can write a measure for targets. I can decide, okay, I want my target to be this amount. Or I want my target to be coming from one of the, what's it called? One of the segments. So that I can now compare. For example, let me say targets. Now I can say, okay, let me just add code my target to be, what do we have here? 1.1, 700, and 429. So let me see, my target is 500,000. 500, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? I'm assuming this is my target across board for all of them. So bringing in the target here, then you can see what our target is 500,000, right? Now, how are we doing compared to our targets? How are we doing compared to our target, right? Then I can write a measure to do the what? To do the calculation for me. So I need to do is what? Saying what? Revenue versus targets. So how I doing compared to targets? Then so we do what? We can say okay, we can divide. Anyhow, we want to do the calculation, but let me use the divide function to save me the stress. Now I want to divide my current, what is it, my target now, by what? That's going to be my numerator, and my denominator should be the revenue that we've generated so far, right? Then okay, close the bracket and you hit enter. Then let me now see how well we are doing compared to our targets. All right, can you see? Then I can put this in percentage. Let me even do it in percentage. Let me see. So what I'm doing? Okay, I want to put it in percent, but then I'm trying to see percentage. Then we have what? Okay, this is more. So I think my calculation should be in the other way around. So target revenue divided by target actually. Revenue. Revenue as the numerator, comma, and target as the denominator. Close the bracket and let's see it here. So this should be more. Okay, it's loading it now. It's telling me that what? Yes, exactly, because this calculation is now correct. So this is 1 million now. My target is 500,000, right? So it's saying I've grown about 200% more than what my current target. This one 700,000, so like what 141%, but 429 is not up to date. So we're only able to achieve 85% of our target. So same way, if we have a varying target which is not static like this, a varying target, you can also what compare it. All you need to just you might have a table that contains all your targets. You might have a table that contains all your targets. Just what compare it with, then you'll be able to do the calculation or the difference. You can get the month to month, the variation between the actual sales and the targeted sales. So this is how use measures to actually get and bring out insight from the data. So for example, now instead of just telling us how much we made, we can easily get the total the percentage variation compared to the last month or compared to our particular target. So these and many more are what we can do with measures, depending on how complicated or how simple it is going to be. So I think because of time, I'm going to be stopping here and take our questions. If there's any question, I would like to take that now.
Thanks. And I think you are somehow also looking at the chat, because I see you answered the question about targets.
Yes.
So you've done that one. Let me see. Let me just scroll up and see if there's any outstanding question. So someone asked about recording. I've answered that. The session is recorded and it will be available tomorrow. I've shared the link. I'm looking at Said. I think Said asked the one about the target. Let me just scroll up and check. Yeah, so you've answered that. Then he was trying to also give some opinions about. So he asked also too about different targets. I think you answered it. You said then just use the value from the table.
Yeah, so if you have a varying target, so you must have a table that contains all your targets. So for this month or for this segment, these are the targets, separate targets. So we can always connect to it. Then easily you compare it. So
okay. So those are all the questions. I think you've answered them. Then we have we've got like house questions that we try to ask every speaker we bring on the session series. So there are two. So the first question is, we are interested in learning about your journey, how you how you got into this whole Power Platform space, you know, because I would have said Power BI, but I know from your profile it's not just Power BI you focus on, you do the entire Power Platform. So it would be interesting to hear
Yes.
your journey. Maybe you started this from, I don't know, maybe you were part of the people at Microsoft that even did the whole Power Platform roadmap. So it'd be nice to know. So that's that one. Then the second question is your
Okay.
advice for people, advice to people starting out now. Okay. So yeah, those are the two questions.
All right, all right. So thank you very much. But before I answer the question, so I think someone is asking up which side, but I think you can just drop your message in the chat. I will read it and respond to it. Just if you have any message, just drop it in the chat. Yes. My journey is a very funny one. It's very personal. Okay, let me just share the brief of his journey. So, initially, I didn't start as an analyst actually. So I was working for one firm on the island like that, in Lagos, Nigeria. Yes, on the island as an auditor. So basically, what we do there, we use Excel. Excel is basically what I do, morning to night and so on like that. So I work like that. But then it got to a point, I was like, a few months into the job, I've actually conquered everything. No challenge again. Then again, when it comes money. So two things I've conquered the old nothing challenging again. I've just my job became a routine Monday to Friday, do the same thing over and over again. I got tired. So and I'm the kind of person I'm interested in doing I'm interested in furthering my education after my first degree. So I applied. So but then while I was still working, I was applying for masters this thing, my master's program. So eventually in 2019, yes, July 2019, I got a fully funded scholarship to do my MSc in China actually. But unfortunately, something that happened. I couldn't secure a visa, so I had to come back. And in fact, I've actually resigned from my place of work then. So they've done a self work for me and so on. So when I came back, I had to talk my boss. This okay. So long and short, I resumed back. Then the journey started, but then I was no longer satisfied. So I needed to do something really different. So then my dear girlfriend then just advised like, why not go into analysis since you like calculations and so on like that. Okay. Then I considered, then I moved into it. So I started learning actually. So it was actually self-learned. So I started with SQL actually. Started with SQL, moved into Power BI. I bought courses online, learn. Then in 2019, right? 2020, I started applying for jobs. So when I've mastered SQL and Power BI. So I started applying. But then I was applying, then my then girlfriend, but now my wife. So I started applying for internship role because I know then you've not have any industry experience, so you need to start from somewhere. So I started applying. So then in that 2020, there was lockdown. I applied to almost all tech firms in Lagos. Just send my CV and the little things I've done, the dashboard and so on I've done so far. So sometimes in September. Yes, September, October. So I got the feedback from one of the companies that I applied to then, which was dbrownconsulting. Consulting. That what? So if I'm still available for an internship also, I can take a test. I took the test, did the interview, and so on like that. Then, fortunately, I was able to I was able to join dbrown Consulting, and from then, since it has been. So I started with Power Platform, Power Apps, Automate, Virtual Agent, Automate. So I started then what's the Power BI, like that till we got here today. So I just think personally for me, what has worked for me is consistency. Because you got to a time you just get tired. The learning is not actually not it's not easy, it's not really easy. It's not even a straight something, it's not straightforward because combining it with work and so on like that. In fact, you even got to a point you got demoralized. You were not getting responses. You sent about 50 emails out. None of them even responded as well. But trust me, somebody somewhere needs that thing that you currently know. All you just need is persistence, consistency. Keep learning. You need to learn. As in this field is one thing I've seen in this field is learning never ends. It never ever ends. So you just continue learning. Even after getting the dream job, you still need to continue learning for you to stay afloat, to stay relevant in whatever you are doing. So learning as you can never exhaust learning. You learn new tools will come out, new this will come out. You have new trend and so on. You have to be on top. So learning, and consistency. So that's actually what makes me. Yeah, that is me. Yeah. And I had a supportive partner then too. So
Yeah. Congratulations. Like it's always a big well, maybe congratulations is not the right word now since it's been a while, but like you are fortunate, that
yes,
part is
yes.
something that once people get it right, they make it makes life easier. So I can see that other people have other questions, but I want to summarize for people some of the key things I got from what you've said, which to me I think it's they are important and people should, especially those who are trying to also make a similar move, either be more vested in this data space or they want to switch career from something that is not so heavily data analysis related to doing something like you do now. And from what you've said, it is, I can say, pick three key things out. One is that hunger, that desire to be better. You never talked about, you didn't say that it was maybe you were not able to do the work and somebody was complaining. No, it was that you were doing the job, nobody was complaining, but you yourself knew that there's something more. You felt you had that yearning to be better, to be at the top of your game. So that's something I could pick. Then secondly is the fact that you are like you use the word persistency, you use the for me, I also want to take it as also you had foresight, so you saw like you are more open to all the options possible, you
Yes.
decided to further your education. That one must have been an interesting period in your life. Imagine if those
It
set for
was.
us. And
They've not
then,
sent for me.
oh
They've
God,
given
I
you all the
can't
gifts.
imagine. Oh
I had to now
God.
come out and welcome back. Oh, I'm no longer going.
Hey, geez.
The life continues.
That
Yeah,
COVID year was something. So
it
the
was.
so the again that humility, that you being open and exploring all options, not being rigid, me, I got that part. And then the third major thing which you mentioned, the fact that you never stop learning, the journey never ends.
Never ends.
Stay hungry. So I'm going to begin to read out the questions that have come since you started answering this question.
Let me just
So,
answer one question. I think the first question I can see one here.
oh, okay, you
That
can
is
see
on it.
it too.
Somebody
Great.
say, where is it? Okay. Yes, for Adewale. So yes, combining it is actually not easy. Work and learning. In fact, you got to a point. The way I did mine was I know I need to learn. In fact, there was one I need internet. So what I did was I know tomorrow what I need. Part of what I'm going to do, if tomorrow is Wednesday now, so on Tuesday, about 80% of my work on Wednesday is going to be done on Tuesday, so that I can have enough time. So once I get to the office on Wednesday, quickly done remaining 20%, send the report, then start learning. Then secondly, on days when what is just so choking. In fact, I do as much as just like it's just as if I'm in school. So I learn overnight. Overnight. So go home, you work, I'm tired, sleep till 10 p.m. From 11 or 11:30, you do it till around 3, 4 p.m. So just basically learning. So you just have to create time for it. That's just the truth. You need to, yes. Work will never end because each organization wants to make money and all input, all hands must be on deck. They need your input too. So you just have to that determination that I really want to move. So that's what did it for me. Yeah. MCT, maybe my guy can answer if I'm MCT now, but when I became an MCT, it was actually it was pretty smooth forward. Get a certification and you become an MCT. But now it's not that straightforward again. You have to go through some rigorous training. I think yes, go through some training, even a paid training like that, then and so on like that before you become an MCT. So it's now something really different. I want to share something on it.
Okay, thanks. I think it's the same thing you've said. So, yeah, but they still just, at least they can start from what is very, very like
Yeah,
compulsory. You have to do a qualifying exam. So make sure you do an exam that qualifies you to now apply for the MCT enrollment. So it's just they also want to prove that you can train. That's what is now becoming more tricky now. Before that part, somebody you could just feel it and they believe what you say. Now they want like an external proof that you do train the trainer. So, but start with the certification that qualifies you to apply for MCT.
And also beyond all the certification, your mastery of the skills actually matters. It matters a lot. Mastery of the skills. So just master whatever you are learning before you even go for all these MCTs and so on like that. Master what you are learning. So
There's
well done.
someone whose question came before Adewale, so it won't look like we've ignored him.
Hey, sorry.
Maxwell. So he said, I don't know if you two can see it. I'm guessing
Okay,
you have
if you have
multiple
a
screen.
dashboard,
Yeah.
yes, if you have a dashboard that has different visuals, you want to create a filter for MTD, QTD, and UTD, what would be your advice? Data modeling, right? Okay, you want to create multiple visuals for your for MTD, QTD. Let me understand this very. But I know for data modeling, first, in fact, it will even save you the stress of writing a lot of DAX when you model your data very well. So you have to make sure all your facts, you have your facts, and you have your facts and your dimension. Dimensions is very, very important. Then for time intelligence, you need a calendar table. You must be able to create your calendar table, just like I did in the I created my calendar table. So personally, I love doing an automatic calendar table. So just do calendar auto, and your calendar is ready there now. Use the formats. You can let me copy this in the chat. So you can use it to extract all the months, the year, the quarter, and so on. So that will make it easy. Yep. So for different visuals, so just make sure your date dimension and whatever the category that the different dimensions that you have, they are intact. So it saves you the stress of writing, having to use DAX to patch, do a lot of patching in your work. So dimension is very, very modeling of your data is very, very important. Okay. Okay, Paul. Paul needs a measure that will calculate the weekly sales. Yes, so you can just tweak your calculate function. So in this case, you should use the date add. Date add. So I think another thing I will also prefer when you are doing weekly, so you can even go to your date table first. That will make it make sense. So in your date dimension, you can create a column for your week. So for week number, so you get week number, then you can now use the week number to filter it. For example, let me see if I can quickly do this. Don't know. Let me quickly see if I can do it. Okay. Okay, I mean, where is it? Just loading. Okay. The week key, so you can use week num. Is it not writing? Oh, where am I writing? Yes, week num to get your week number from dates. Yep, from your calendar dates. Yes, not this date, the full calendar date. Yeah, where's my calendar dates? Calendar revenue. Okay, let's try the dates. Sorry, why remove my date? Oh, okay, yeah. This is this is data I'm going to use for this particular one. Then from here, you can now use your week. So it gives you for the first week, give you one. The second week, can see. The second week gives you two, and so on like that. Then you can actually use that to filter. Hold on, please. I need to quickly.
Hello, Sodiq. Oh, okay. I see you on mute.
Sorry, apologies.
No
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
I had to quickly rush to the restroom. Sorry. Yeah, so I was saying, yes, so with your week number, I've created a week number now. Uh, so you can now use your week number. So you can see now for all the months, for all the, what is it called now? All the week two. So in the whole of the year, how many weeks do we have? We have 22 or 52 or 54 weeks. Can't remember. 52 weeks. Okay, 54 weeks. Can't remember. Okay, 54 weeks makes a year. So weekly now, so you can now do your, I'm not sure I've connected this particular one. So you can do your reports by week. Mhm. Where is it? Okay. So this now you can then do your reports weekly. Coming, where's my week number? I even did it here. So this table, you just bring your week number, then your months you can see the weekly. Where is the last calendar? Let me just connect it. So you can then make it your, where's the dates? Other dates. Okay. Shit. I did the wrong thing. Sorry. So just that's the easiest way. Split it down by your week. Then you can undo what the, so here now you didn't what did I use to connect this? Yes, I know I did. I'm using the wrong thing. So basically that's how you're going to, so bring out your week, then you can now always go a step backward, weekly analysis, dates to dates, other dates. So when you go to your reports now, you can then was loading. Okay. Yes, so I can just see my week and my revenue. Okay, my week even has to be in text. I have to change it to text instead of old number. Change it to text. Okay. Use this. Oh, this is my data type. Data type text. Yes. Okay, text. Text. So you do with pan, so on like that. Fix this. Loading here, bring your and then bring your revenue to it. So slice it by weekly reports. Where is it now? Okay, by week. Bring a week. Okay, then my revenue easily revenue. Tick the box. So you can see for the different weeks. So you can even so this is my weekly analysis now so far. So where you can use your month as a slicer. So in the month now, okay, I want to add something to this. So it shows week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see, yeah, I also have all my weeks now. So your week, here's these are the different weeks I have now, and here's the revenue. So if you have a slicer for months, so month slicer, then you see the week 1 to 4, week 2 to 4, 5 to 8, and so on like that. So you see how they are doing. Does that answer your question?
Thanks a lot. I think those are all the questions. You've done justice to them. And I think we'll be ending the session now. Thank you very, very much for the time, the depth of what you've covered. You took it from like blank and then you gradually increase the difficulty. So it's like almost looking like a full training session. You cover the 1 hour. So thanks a lot. For those who are asking for the recording, it will be up tomorrow. So I'll be ending the session now. Thanks again, Sodiq. It's been a privilege to have you, and thanks to everyone who joined and stayed till the end. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful week ahead. So thank you.
All
Bye.
right.
I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. All right. Bye
Okay,
for now.
bye.